Hi, I'm Dr. Terry Warren with Only God's Finest, and I'm here today to bring you what I consider to be some words of wisdom, things that I've gathered over the last quarter of a century of being involved in ministry. And I believe that the Bible is true, and I believe that there are several things that are hindering us from really having everything we're supposed to have. And one of those things I believe is unforgiveness. And a lot of times there are scriptures that are read and they talk about them and they emphasize on the parts that are beneficial. But what people fail to do is really, talk about the conditions. With every single thing that God promises, there's a condition attached to it. And I want to give you an example of that today. And I want to go to Mark 11. And I would like to go to verse 23. And this is a verse that has been quoted for, I can't even tell you how many times in churches, and I believe it to be true. Okay, and people say, well, you can't move a literal mountain. But Mark 11:23 says, "For surely I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed and cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes those things he says will be done, he will have whatever he says. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you will have them." I believe that this is very true. And I believe, I don't believe that he was talking about literal mountains like, Mount Whitney and the Sahara Mountains and, the mountains that are huge, Mount Everest and that. I don't believe that he intended it to mean that you can speak to that mountain and it will be gone. But what I believe that he did mean is that we have mountains in our life. We have lots of mountains that we face. We have the mountains of economic times. We have the mountains of bad marriages. We have the mountains of mistrust. We have the mountains of financial difficulty. We have the mountains of health issues. All of those are very, very important. And I believe that what the Word says is true because, the Word is inspired by God, and God is not a man that he can lie. So I believe that those things are so. And I have seen in my own life, as well as many other lives, where people, by faith, and faith is believing those things that aren't as though they are, have spoken to a circumstance and changed that circumstance. But you see, the part that very few people read is the next verse. And I'd like to go on to read Mark 11:25. And it says, "Whenever you stand praying, if you have anything against anyone, forgive him, that your Father in heaven may also forgive you of your trespass. But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father in heaven forgive your trespass." I believe that this is the condition to receiving what God has for you. First of all, to go to God and ask for him to forgive you for the things that you've done wrong, the sins you've committed, the transgressions that you've done. But I also believe it's very important that you forgive people that have hurt you. I know that there are many people who's been in relationships and the husband has hurt the wife or the wife has hurt the husband. I know that there are relationships where there have been children growing up and they've been molested by a father or in some cases even clergy. It's sad to say. But I believe that the key is in forgiveness. Doesn't matter what anybody did, we need to be able to forgive. I know an example of a gentleman that his son was murdered, and he went and visited the person who murdered his son in prison and forgave them. And actually prays for them and has wanted to help them. That's true forgiveness. And I know that a lot of people have hurt us in life, but we need to be able to learn to forgive. And I think forgiveness, we need to forgive every person. I'm here to tell you that even being in ministry, that I thought that I had forgiven everybody. And someone said to me, Terry, you need to forgive every single person in life that hurt you, because I believe that that's really when God is going to move on your behalf. And I want God to move on my behalf. And so I thought about it, and I said to God, God, okay, bring to my memory if there's anybody that I haven't forgiven. And I'm thinking, I've been in ministry a long time, probably haven't, maybe there's one or two people. Do you know, I got out a piece of paper and I started making a list, and God brought to memory 54 people that I had not forgiven. He brought to memory people from when I was in elementary school and junior high that I had forgot about, teachers that were mean to me, that I, had resented, people in business that hurt me. 54 people is a lot of people. But I went down the list, and as I wrote each name down, I prayed for God to help me, and I asked Him, I said, God, let me forgive those. I want to forgive this person for what they did. I want to forgive that person for what they did. And since I did that, it's like a huge weight is lifted. But I've seen God moving in ways that, He never moved before. So I just want to share that with you. It's from my own experience, from my own personal relationship with God and the way that I read this scripture. And again, different people interpret things different ways. This is my interpretation. I hope that this helps you. I hope this will bring some freedom to you, some deliverance to you, and help you be everything that you want to be in God as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to Only God's Finest, to learn things that you need to know. And I hope that we were a blessing, and I hope that we were able to minister to you as well. Thank you, and you have a wonderful and a blessed day.